at the same time, I realized that, I was a 46-year-old man at the time, and I was looking at the people that I was going to be fighting that were coming out of Russia, and they were all in their freaking 20s. Like, all right, so how do I compete with athletes in their 20s? Because not only were they in their 20s, but they were all athletic, right? This sport that we do now is much more athletic than the one that we had done before. So, like, how do I do that? Well, opening the Knights Hall was the next logical progression, and it happened concurrent. So when I said I'm going to do this, within 2 months, I had the Knights Hall open, so I had a place for myself to train. I was the only fighter here in the Northeast at the time. We brought in a few by January. We even had a practice here at the Knights Hall by January, where we had 4 or 5 of us fighting, most of whom washed out. They were like, okay, this is too rough for us, and out they went. But a few stuck. One in particular, Dave Olson, who lives in upstate New York. He's kind of a mountain man, Luddite. He's not like online or anything. He just goes out in the mountains and hikes, and then he shows up to my place to fight and travel with me overseas when we go fight. But we were the first 2 guys like in New England doing this. And then there was a tournament in February. So we start practicing. We open the hall in December. In January, we start practicing. I find out there's a tournament in Quebec City, or the suburbs of Quebec City, in February. So Daniel Stuhl, Stephen Green, and Mike Burkhart, Sir Balin from New York, if you remember him. So we all 4 of us, there were 5 of us who said they were going, but one bailed out and stayed in Jersey. And the rest of us went to Quebec and fought, and tied with the team of Russians, Ukrainians, and Poles that were living in Toronto that were out there, called the Scalograms. So we tied with that event. My very first fighting with steel, I cut a guy's finger off. Not something you expect your first time fighting, your first round. But cut through his gauntlet, cut down into his finger, and basically pulped the finger down to the knuckle. So there was really no finger left. They couldn't sew anything on because there was nothing really left. It was just mush. Armor's a lot better now. The early days, it was like the Wild West. So that was one of the things that when I started up the armored combat stuff here in the US, that I focused on armor to make sure that hands were safe. So we basically got rid of finger gauntlets, made sure that certain materials could be used so we could do this stuff safely. So there was a lot of like little pieces of this. We had to build it from scratch. We didn't really speak Russian. So reading the Russian stuff didn't really work. Most of it was guidelines from overseas. So I built a rule set, and then we used the rule set.